Hi guys, welcome to our channel Being a Best Teacher. Today we are going to discuss most important questions of Sndt, childhood and growing up. So for this questions and answers you can you can look at the description box and you can find the answers also for these questions which we are going to discuss with you today in this video. So let us just start with the video and let us discuss all the questions which are very important for your question paper which is exam which is coming up. So let us just start with the questions. First question which we are going to discuss is write the different role of learners, viewers, different roles of activity which will you organize in the classroom, right? So this is the A part of first question. Let us discuss about the other parts as well. So for all these answers you can look at the description box and you can find all the answers for this. So the next part is what is guidance provided by the neuroscience and with respect to designing and developing appropriate learning environment. Third part is what is growth and development, explain the principles of development. Next part is explain development as recurrent in interactions between individual potentials, inmates, acquired and external environmental. Next part is how physical environment and socio-culture factors affect on development. Explain with examples, right? Now the next part is what is development. Explain how various environmental factors affect on development, right? Now the next is write various roles of learners in the class. Plan various activities according to different roles of learner. Next part is write various functions of brain using useful while learning. Next is explain the relationship of brain development and learning process, right? Now the next part which is given is explain term growth and development and explain the difference between growth and development. Next part is explain various roles of learner. Mention various activities according to different roles of learners. Now comes the B part, right? Let's start with the B part, which is explain views of Piaget on cognitive development, explain the views of Kohlberg on moral development, right? Next is explain the physical and moral development during later childhood and adolescence. Which activity will you plan for more development in adolescence at school, right? So next part is explain views of Vygotsky about cognitive development. Write the role of teacher according to his theory, right? Now the next part is explain Erickson's psychological development theory with reference to later childhood and adolescence stages. Write the role of teacher according to his views, right? The next part is explain the intellectual development of Piaget and explain the role of teacher in it. The next part is explain the role of school during later childhood and adolescence stage of the pupil. Next part is write about social and emotional development during later childhood and adolescence. Describe Next part is describe of Erickson's psychological stage of development during later childhood and adolescence. Write the roles of teacher according to his views. Next is the C part. Let's continue with the C part now, right? So the next part is explain the emotional and social development during later childhood and adolescence. Which activities will you plan for the emotional development in later childhood at the school? Explain the concept of individual differences within and among the learners. As a teacher, what activity will you plan in school later to the individual differences regarding multiple intelligence? Next part which is given is the what is individual differences? How can you overcome various different differences among learners? Explain, right? Next is explain the concept of multiple intelligence. What activities will you plan in school to cater to the individual differences regarding to the multiple intelligence, right? Next part, which is what is intelligence? Explain the views of gardeners about the multiple intelligence. Name various social culture characteristics effect of learning. What is the importance of those factors in the learners? Write the characteristics of visual impaired learners. Write the role of school and teachers for catering to individual needs of virtual impaired learners, inclusive setup. Right? So the next is write about various learning styles of learners and their relationship with learning. As a teacher, what activity will you plan in the school for catering to the different learning styles? Right? So next part is, let's go to the next part now. The next part is what is inclusive education? Explain the characteristics of gifted students in brief. Next part is what is learning style? What is the need to study for different learning style? Next part is what is the effect. Next is what is the effect of social cultural characteristics on learning and personality development. What is the role of school and teacher for catering of individual needs and inclusive setup? What is personality? Design learning experiences for development of personality of learner. Explain the concept of maladjustment. What is personality? What activities will you plan in school for development of students' personality? Explain. What is adjustment? Explain the various causes of maladjustment during adolescence. What is meant by self-concept of learners as teachers? How do you develop self-concept for learners through various classroom activities and co-curricular programs? Please explain. As a teacher, how do you develop self-concept and leadership qualities of learner? Suggest various classroom activities and co-curricular programs for the same. Explain any two problems for adjustment of adolescents. Write role of school teacher in helping the students facing their problems. Write various Write various for development personalities in student. What should be the role co-curricular activity will you suggest? Write solve the following problems in students. What role should you played by the teacher and the school? First is drug addiction, second is delinquency. Just we are about to finish the first question. There are few parts which you can see in the video as well. So we are just about to finish this one. Let us just finish this and then we'll go to the next question also. So the last two questions which are given here is what is meant by self concept for learner? Explain the role of teacher. How do you develop self confidence of learner through various classroom activities and co-curricular programs? Right. So the last question which we are here, let me just tell you about this as well. What is adjustment? Write various problems for adjustment in adolescence. Explain the role of school and teacher in helping the students facing problems. Right. So this was the first question which was given. This is of 40 marks. Next question is of 20 marks. Let us just discuss this question as well. This is write short notes. So let us just discuss these as well. So the first question which is given is stage of growth and development. Next is relationship of development with learner. Third is brain development, learner as knowledge worker, principle of development, functions of brain, principle of development, different roles of learning, right? So the next is function of left brain and right brain as well. Views of Vygotsky on cognitive development. Describe for Erickson's psychological stages of development during later childhood and role of school. Moral development during later childhood, psychological stages given by Erickson. Moral development during later childhood, physical development during adolescence. Views of Kohlberg about moral development, physical development during adolescence, Vygotski's view of cognitive development, social development during adolescence, and activity of Carter to children's emotional intelligence, characteristics of creative learners. So these are the questions which are, these are the points which are given for second question. You have to write short notes on these. There are few more, let us just discuss those also. So there is Guilford, Guilfords of intelligence, Guilfords of intelligence, learning styles and role of school for catering to different learner styles of learners, individual differences, characteristics of gifted learners, concept for individual differences, views of gender, emotional intelligence, views of gender, multiple intelligence, views of gender, and the C part is type of learning styles. Now this is the next part which is we are starting, which is various psychological characters of learner affecting on learning. First is personality of learners, interest, and maturation. Next part is suggest ways to help learners with problems of failure and low achievement. Malso's hierarchy of needs, concept of personality, concept of adjustment, meaning of maladjustment, type of attention, multiple intelligence, Malso's hierarchy to needs. Now the next question, which is choose the correct answer. This is your MCQ answers which are given, so you can choose it. This should be easy for everyone. Answers are already given. This is a 5-mark question which is given in the paper. So let us discuss these as well. So I am going to read the questions right now. Answers are given in the video. You can look at it, and all the answers for this solve answers are given in the description box. You can just go there and download the link. This is the minimal prizes which we have given. So let us just discuss the questions which are given here, right? So this is choose the correct answer. First question is identify the functions of left brain. There are 4 answers given over there. You can choose the correct one which is given in the description. You can go there and check out the answers from there. I am not reading the answers which are given. You can see in the video itself. Boys and girls play separately. No mixed groups are found. In which stage of development this characteristic is found? There are 4 answers given. You can just check those. Need of psychological crisis found in intelligence age, right? There also 4 options are given. You can choose the correct one. Let's go to the next one. While reading, Rahul skips individual words or group of words. The characteristics of differently able learners comes under 4 options given. You can choose the correct one. Next is which of the following learners psychological characters effect on learning? Again there are options given. You can choose the correct one. Shelja won the prize, so she jumped with joy. This type of behavior is seen in dash period. There are 4 options given. You can choose the correct one. The person tries to satisfy his social and natural needs. That is called, there are 4 options. You can choose the correct one. Assessment of individual differences done through, again the 4 questions. You can choose. Next is left side of the brain thinks dash that. Let's go to the next one. Dinesh understands through writing in an example of dash style. There are 4 options. You can choose the correct one. When a child wants something, he was his whole hand to print at the things he wants. But as he grows old, his brain and muscles are developed. With that, he can now use his fingers instead of whole hand when pointing at something. This changes shows following principle of development. First, second, third, and fourth. 4 options are given. You can choose the correct one. Which stage of that child is being shown in these options, this progress. Next question is zone of proximal development means. There are 4 options. Name the stage in which students are facing the psychological crisis of whom I and what can I be, right? Person who are technically good at reading, writing, telling stories and memorizing words along with the dates, having dash type of intelligence. There are four options given as well. To have a friend or intimate relationship is type of need, right? Identify the function of right brain. Group cohesiveness, use of code found in dash stage of development. There are four options given. Psychological crisis industry versus inferiority occurs in dash stage of development. Next is Shakalaka always committed mistakes while performing mathematical calculations. The problem of Shakalaka comes under dash categories of learning disabilities, right? According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, needs for considered the first step in internal motivation. There are four options given, right? Next is the term growth is used purely dash sense. Which sense? You can write the sense. Psychosocial conflicts development during adolescent stage is dash what stage that is. You can write the stage. What is the difference between two or more than the individual studies are called, right? There are four options for you. You can choose the correct one. Next is period of storm and stress applied to dash stage. What stage is that? That has been asked in the question. Next is eligibility test help one can find out dash skill for the learner. What skill can be found during eligibility test? The four options are given. You can choose the correct one. I think everybody knows what kind of test that is, but it's a easy question. I think everybody will able to do this. Next question is language, arithmetic, scientific thoughts are the work of which side of the brain? Four options are given, or there is one more options if you can choose the correct one. Concrete operational development stages are given by four options are given. I guess everybody will able to do this. We have been reading about this all our year. The person tries to satisfy social and natural needs. This is called what kind of motivation or what need that is. Period of storm and stress apply to which stage, right? Now comes the fourth question, which is of 10 marks. Let us just read this one. I hope the video has gone very far, very long. I Let us just discuss this finally. And the first question, which is Sapna is ninth standard student facing a problem of inattention in the class. Actually, study of ninth is the base of her matriculation, but she is not concentrating on her studies and showing poor performance. A option which is given, what is the reason for inattention? As a teacher of Swapna, how do you help her for concentration for studies? Second question which is given, second situation which is given over there is Purva is a student of standard 10th. Her progress in studies is moderate, but she is engaged herself drawing and craft. All the people in the school appreciate her art. Her father works in private company, her mother sells high quality clothes. Her parents expect that she should go for science field and complete her future studies. Purva wants to be an art teacher in school after completing art teacher diploma. As a teacher, how will you guide Purva? Second thing which is given is for detailed case study, which step will be useful? Make a list, right? Third situation which is given is inclusive in education is a approach of educating students with special educational needs. Inclusive rejects the use of special students or classrooms to separate students with disabilities for students without disabilities. First is given over here is what is the viewpoint about inclusive of students. Due to inclusive educations, what type of students will be there in normal schools? Is the role of school and teacher for catering of individual needs in the inclusive setup is changed? Explain the role of teachers and schools. Read next question is read the following passage and answer the questions. There is a passage, small passage given. I'll be reading that passage for you, and you need to answer that question. That answer is provided in the description, which in the link which is in the description. You can find the appropriate answer. Otherwise, you can write your answer also. Everybody has their own point of views for the passage which is given. I'll be reading out to you. It starts with, in modern high school there are two thoughts of teachers about delivering sex education in the schools of adolescent students. One group feels that the provide of sex education is today's need and much essential. About other group feels the due to sex education students life will be spoiled. What is the option about giving sex education? What is the opinion about giving sex education in the school? Explain it. What is the main points which should be covered through their sex education? Explain the role of schools and parents accordingly. There is one more case which is given over here. I'll be reading out that case and the question as well, which has been asked in the paper. Let me just read it out to you. Ajay is studying in ninth standard. When he was in school, he comes in contact with the wrong friends. Some of his friends motivated him to take drugs, but his father and mother thinks that their son is virtue of good. Question is, as a teacher, how could you make as any come out from the problems during the drug addiction? And this is the last question which is given. Geeta is a ninth standard student. She is facing a problem in attention in the class. Actually, ninth class is base of her matriculation on her study and performance. Class is the base of matriculation, but she is not concentrating on her studies and performance. What is the reason of inattention? As a teacher of Gita, how do you help her in developing of attention? Right? These were the questions which were given. These are the most important questions which you can see over here. Right? These are the given questions, and I hope you must have understand few things by which I have read, questions which I have read to you. The all the answers for these questions are given in the description box. You can just go there and download from there. This is minimal prices which we are giving for the answers, and I hope you will do best in the question on your papers. All the best.